Good evening, everyone. Thank you for- I'm thrilled to be here today. Celebrate one of our own, our brother, our colleague, our friend. Some of you may might be your uncle. Some of you may like Ada. Some of you name as an ancestor. For launching of his book, titled Death from the Sahara. Before we conceal, we'll humbly acknowledge that we're blessed to be alive on to the top heresy. We honor the traditional line of the Hariwa, Nape, Lakota, the homeland of the Menki, Lakota, and Dakota, and all other nations that calls this land home. From the grasses of Gokis to the waters of Wascana, you appreciate all the paper I speak at it. The promise is a kicking of the land and all its people. We commit to learning the seeds, reconciling in the past, and practicing. Just a couple of housekeeping items. Please, at least ensure your phone ringers are turned off. I can hear some movement. I can't see you all, but I can hear movement. Yeah, you don't want to be the person whose phone rings in the middle of the performance. Yeah. There are bathroom facilities available located down the hall. You step aside, you take your first left turn. And we also have our ushers and volunteers here to assist you whatever you need. Also, take notes. The silent auction starts now. There's an artwork outside station and it ends by 7 p.m. Make sure to get your bids in. Acknowledging that any shipping costs would be the responsibility of the way. Very important. Yes. In our midst today, we have dignitaries. And I would like and I'm pleased that our Honorable Bernadette McIntyre, Lieutenant Governor of Saskatchewan, and His Honor Rich McIntyre have joined us this evening. A round of applause, please. Also in our midst, we have. Okay, sorry, I'm gonna skip that. So before I introduce the first performer this evening, I'd like to say a big thank you to our sponsors this evening, Sask Arts, Sask Culture, Sask Lotteries, and Saskatchewan Arts Alliance. I also like to appreciate our partners, the Multicultural Council of Saskatchewan, One Q Performance Hub, Saskatchewan Writers Guild, and Black Excellence Network. And finally, I would like to say a big thank you to everyone in this room this evening. Tonight won't be possible without you all. Actually, there's a lot of people. Okay. Before we proceed, a quick one. I would like to appreciate the author for granting this very platform and this opportunity to be able with all of you to celebrate his book launch. Thank you so much. Enjoy. So our first artist up tonight is Hava Miller. Hava Miller is a multidisciplinary writer and creative entrepreneur whose work bridges poetry, healing, and storytelling. She is the author of Writing Late Nights and Early Mornings, Vulnerable Writings from the Broken Piece, and How Did I Become Her? The forthcoming exploration of love, grief, and womanhood told through raw rhythmic verse. Her writing is known for its lyrical cadence, emotional depth, and layered wordplay that speaks to resilience, sensuality, and self-discovery. Tonight, Ava, will enchant us with her poetry. Let's listen closely. She might reveal the secrets to writing best. Yep.
Mhm. Hello. I'm Kai. I'm grateful to be here. I'll share a little story because I met Eric and I hadn't performed anything. And he says, you should. And my book release was coming up, and I thought, well, he told me to do this, so obviously he needs to be on board as well. So I invited him to be one of the featured poets, and he gladly accepted. And I'm so grateful because Eric is about community. He's about forging really good friendships and connecting people. And I've met so many people in the arts community because of him, and I'm honored to be here to be able to be one of the featured guests of poets at his book launch. And I'm so proud of him. I'm excited. But I will start off with a little bit of, I guess, elaborate a little bit more about me. I write about heartbreak, love, falling in love, the good parts, the cracks, the fault lines, and the fairy tale of it all. So my first piece will be titled Safe. And we all want to be safe when we're in a relationship, right? We want to feel secure. And so this one's titled Safe. I held you without touching, just listening, just letting your breasts fold into mine. No grand declarations, only the small proofs. Your hand, heavy but safe on my chest. Your pulse, drumming steady as if to say, stay. I never knew silence could cradle me this way. In the stillness, our hearts spoke softly, whispers in the quiet, echoing in the warm, shared moments. A language unspoken, wrapped in the gentle glow of dusk. As shadows danced around us, time melted, each second stretching into eternity. The world faded away, just you and me, and the promise made, and what we didn't say. And to go along with the theme of love, this one is titled, To Love is Worth. Love is a decision, not merely a feeling. To like something is a sentimental sort of thing, but to love is a positive decision. To love is hard and it takes work. When you fall into infatuation with someone, that's not love. However, most of us become infatuated with the one we choose to love. Sometimes we have seasons. I believe that our lives are cyclical and we appreciate the spring and we appreciate summer. But when winter comes and we isolate and we feel alone, we sometimes wonder why we're here. What is the purpose? But this is just a reminder that every season has its meaning and there's growth even though it's not seen. We often celebrate spring and misunderstand the significance of winter. Every season has its purpose. We can't force a season to reproduce something that it wasn't designed to. Instead, We should embrace and enter each new beginning with gratitude for what it has to offer you and stand in that posture. I chose these pieces because Eric, he's quite encouraging and he's inspiring. And most of my writing is quite mature, so I had to be very selective about the pieces that I'd share tonight. But yeah, he's inspired me, and so these ones are along the theme of that. Seeds. You hurt me, but I will never return the favor. I won't plant bad seeds because I know how to invest. So when it's harvest and it's time to reap, it will be in plenty and I will be blessed. And until then, I'll be patient. I'll water my roots and stay grounded and continue to bear good fruits. This one is titled Scars because at times we're ashamed of our scars and we don't want to be reminded as to what happened. And so we try to pretend that the tissue, the scar tissue that we feel, is something that we should run from or not be reminded of. However, I thought this is my perspective on the wounds and the scars that I've endured and I still carry. Scars remain, but not to remind us of the pain, however, to prove that our wounds have healed. And while they're not pleasant to touch, to look upon, or to ponder, our scars beautifully display growth, which should never be concealed. I should have printed mine off like everyone else. You're fumbling through my phone. Love is scary, and I dare you to tell me that it's not, because I have to be my most vulnerable and feel my gut wrench, bear it all and trust that in the end, whatever I've made vacant and available, you will still desire and still cherish. Love is scary, right? It is. So it's not just my experience. Yeah. Okay. And my last piece, I wrote this when I was in Tanzania. I fell in love, at least I thought I was in love. And it inspired this piece of poem. And I looked back at it then and I thought, okay, this is where I was at. It still speaks truth to where I was at in my life. The moon, the sky, the stars, and the sun. There's no limits to your love and what you've been giving me in abundance. I see it in your eyes, and it's written in the lines of my lyrics. It's poetic. We were in no hurry and moved in the rhythm of time. Patience is the melody of our song, our theme, actually. I need not worry. Trust issues, a language we no longer use. We refuse to lose what we worked hard for, to earn, and our strength is anchored. Thank you.
Look, someone mandate and decided not to allow me speak about love. Yeah, I can. Someone in the crowd, I guess. Yeah, so we're having a collaborative performer by Eric Gabriel, Chris Alvarez, and Ian Wu. I'm just gonna read a little bit about each of them. Eric, with unique poetry style described by many as celestial. Eric Gabriel, better known by his pen name Gabriel Archangel AJ, is a pan-human writer, poet, and interdisciplinary artist, a passionate student of human experience. AJ is a believer in the psychosocial healing properties of art and is constantly seeking new ways to aid in that healing process, which our planet desperately needs, now more than ever. Chris Alvarez is a 34 Filipino theater artist who enjoys a big laugh and a good cry. Chris makes art like an 80s mom makes a trip to the beach in a flowered kerchief, driving 2-ton station wagon, blaring a favorite mixtape, inviting old and new friends along the way, singing, jump in the back. Honestly, I had to look for how this looks like. No seat belts, but great snacks. Don't know when we'll get there. Enjoy the scenery. You are in good company. And Ian Wu is a somatic and improvisation practitioner, artist, and researcher whose work is deeply rooted in the Taoist philosophy of Qi. She earned an MA from the National Taiwan University of Arts in 2006 and a PhD in Performing Arts from the University of Hampton, UK in 2014. Wow. I can go on and on. There's a lot here. But let me not bore you with this, and let's be silent and breathe in the fresh air because this performer is going to blow your mind. Thank you.
Langgat ni Mami, langgat ni Daddy, langgat ni Lola, langgat ni Lolo, langgat ni Tita, langgat ni Tito, langgat ni Oira, langgat ni Zozo. Wanem Boko Hajuae Zabae Wanem Boko Karatum Wanem Boko I am Mama Wanem Boko Nawajubai.
O thou crescent moon sublime, deal gently upon this poor flower of mine. Let your lunar glow guide its tender steps to its destined bloom foretold. Let the spirits that wander the dark in a crazed frenzy not pluck it away from its roots, away from Mother Earth's suckling bosom, cursed to blossom no more. Let the men who stumble about in the dark, blinded by the spirits they seek, not trample upon its flowery crown of glory, leaving it alone, shriveled and cold, whilst ants and destitute maggots feed upon its essence.
Langkani Tito, Langkani baby, Langkani Sebi, Langkani mami.
O thou crescent moon, that shone before the birth of my forefathers, feeding them with the energy to subdue and multiply. Feed this tender flower of mine with the strength to follow in their footsteps. For I followed the sun from its rise to its dusky tent, only to end up here, 4 breaths away from the next life, yet never seeing the shine of your crescent smile. My father begged me that I might follow in his path. O crescent moon divine, I beg you, let not my only seed follow mine. Isn't it such a blessing to witness and observe the pure, unadulterated innocence of kids? Such twinkle little stars. How do they even shine so brightly in such a dark, dark world?
I want to like it. Soda. Iwa soda amana.
Suda amana. Me suda amana.
Haka suna amana. Soda amana. Yeah. Kita disay kisay. Kita kiki. Có ai sẽ hứa là ba của bên kia lâu nhỉ? Đồ con nôm gì à? Con nôm. Đồ thì làm gì? Cao. Mình tu ăn ai la muda. Nana. كتيا كل الخلائق نرى كل السرائر واديا في موت في من أعظم لن تفن الخوف Awak tu lana jadi dia rumah aku. Oh ya, awak jadi dia rumah. Bukan nak kalau Ini amma engkau era lelaki lulus. Aku ingin ayo berua cikin buta. Hari kalau nafsu kuna mizia. Happy beba. Basu. Sah. Mungkin asal. Sah. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يسبح لله ما في السماوات وما في الأرض وما في الأرض الملك القدوس العزيز الحكيم هو الذي صار بالغمه لا رسول منهم يتلو عليهم آياته ويزكيهم ويعلمهم الكتاب.
The children store dreams in their merry ebony dimples and woo the future with their bright-eyed laughter. Thunderbolts clap a rhythm as they dance carefree in the rain. Dust devils dancing happily along with them. A dance my inner child has long forgotten. You see, I was not born this cold. I had a warm soul with an enchanting smile. My mother told me so. My father was once proud of me. Once. Before I sacrificed my innocence, a rite of passage into the harsh realities of adulthood.
I am deep in the body, around the organs probably. I am within an inner space where I don't know. I have no bones, but muscles thickly and succulently filling in me. I am sticky, fuzzy, light, and soft. A space within me, relaxed. I articulate the body parts beside me gently and subtly like silk. But sometimes I'm slightly chaotic and ambiguous, not sure how to move. I find the subtle dynamics within me changing the body very slowly and subtly. I am rarely calm. I become the material throughout the body. I am of the body. I seem to move by myself. As I change, the body shape changes. I am flowing in various densities and changing fluently like plasma. Suddenly, the inside and outside both open up to me. I'm now dwelling in a big world, standing on the reach of the inner and the outer. I react to someone whom I am sensing yet don't know in this big world. I am moving by myself. I feel free. Here and now, I am. The movement emerges from me. I am the unknown.
As you someone is setting. As you all noticed, I waited for the screen to go down. Yeah, I'd like to throw a little bit of that there. Our next performer or artist is Anisowa Ibuka Favor, aka Flavored Thoughts. He's a multi-faceted creative whose poetic voice bridges the personal and the political, weaving narrative that reflects the complexity of identity, justice, and the human experience. Born in Nigeria and currently based in Canada, Favor began writing poetry as a powerful means of self-expression, community healing, and social commentary. With a style marked with lyrical precision, emotional depth, and thematic boldness, Favor's work explores themes such as migration, resilience, gender equality, mental health, and global development. Whether performing spoken word before live audiences or crafting intricate verse for page, his poetry reflects a rare ability to turn everyday experience into universal truths. Ladies and gentlemen, Favor. Round of applause.
Um, Thank you guys so much for having me. I'm Favorite Thoughts, and I want to thank Eric for this opportunity to speak to your life. It's such an experience for me, and today I have 3 poems for you guys. It's very philosophical. I'm in my philosophy bag this year, so um, the first one is To Find, and he explores the journey of me finding myself. And it's inspired by an artist I really loved when I was younger, XSS Tentacion. Some of you would know him. It goes, to find the exact words, to find the perfect words, to say less but to say more, to feel loved and to give more, to feel fear but to love more, to become my own person, my inspiration, my vibe, protect my identity, to be confident in my skin and insecurities, to keep focus on the task at hand and my own energy, surrounding myself with good vibes and the right synergies, to think more and to speak strong, not scared of my words because it'll be well taught, to find me, to find my perfect words, to say less but to say more. This is the ideal of my life's project. And y'all are watching my life's project. Favor thoughts. Thank you. The second one I have for you is slightly controversial, but it's titled The Godless Lot. This year I chose to be an atheist. Maybe not an atheist, but I chose to exist by myself. Wrap myself in the vastness of the universe and surround my brain with the knowledge of life. And although I'm excited, I've realized that it's impossible to be a happy atheist. I'll rephrase that. It's impossible to fill the void left by belief. Belief fills the void in your brain that's supposed to be for curiosity. But yeah, if I take the belief out and don't actively fill the void, you're left with insecurity. I envy the religious mind. I envy the mind that can look at the suffering of the world and go, yes, my God has a plan. This is no knock on religious people. I used to live like that. I kabashed in the spirits. I was a warrior for my religious clan. But you see, my brain's curiosity is larger than my faith could fill. I couldn't accept that injustice and violence were all part of a good God's masterpiece. But paradoxically, when times were simpler, that good God made life sweet. Back then, when I silenced my curiosity, the good God gave me peace. And since I've kicked him out, I need to find my new words. A sloth's brain is as smooth as a ball. An atheist's brain is filled with grooves and troughs for the intricate patterns of curiosity. A religious scholar's brain is also as complex as ever. What shape is then reserved for the rest of us? You see, the godless man seeks to find ways to prove that God is an ever-receding pocket of the universe. The religious man shows signs and miracles to prove the beauty of a finely tuned universe, established by his creator. And then the godless sloth rejects both proposition and still chooses to be centric. A Christian is blind to the irregularities of this pure God. But the worst of them all is an agnostic, because he sits on the bench of philosophy wondering which to choose. Yet I find myself amongst these sloths, who are not really seeking answers, and some seeking, but yet to see evidence to dismiss both claims. And amongst these godless sloths, I find home. I guess I'm as smooth-brained as the sloths in the sea. Which is ironic, because the sea isn't even where the sloths are seen. So I'll rephrase that. I'm a godless sloth lost at sea. Able to sing. Thank you. Thank you so much. The final one I have for you is a popular philosophical saying, and the title is I exist, so therefore I am. It's very popular if you're into philosophy like me, you'd see it a lot. Every day I put pen to paper, I fear I could never top my last. Each and every time I try to rhyme words, I feel I've used up all my rhyme schemes. The imposter poet who is taking hostage of poetry. I feel out of place, yet I write. I force my words to flow perfectly. The juices of my rhymes are nectar to the gods. Yet I quicker, not from lack of expertise and not for the fear of losing grip of my tyrannical grab on poetry, but I quiver, for I feel distant from the emotion I convey. I speak about love in such poetic patterns as though I have Cupid. I write in philosophy and religion as though I've lost all my stupid. I rhyme in lyrical schemes and tell stories that feel foreign from me. My art has this experience, but my body doesn't reflect it. And so every time I write words, I sound like a tyrant commanding my poetry to produce for me. Like a slave master flogging his slaves to provide cotton. I speak words that aren't mine. I feel thoughts that aren't mine. It should be me, but the real me is scared of being seen. The real me has lost his confidence since he was 15. The real me is not me. So who am I? But I exist. So therefore I am. Yet they never talk about the different versions of yourself that exist in one being. The mosaic of patterns that shape my very being. Yet I am me, a singular being, just me. He, his, him, every single pronoun to describe me. I am the author of me. I am the poet of me. I exist, so therefore I am. These versions, the tyrant, the poet, the lover, the philosopher, the artist, it's all me. Who am I? But I exist. They're me. They're mine. I exist. So therefore I am. I exist. So therefore I am me. Favorite thought. Thank you.
Another round of applause, please. Our next lineup for tonight is Benjamin Osazua. When you purchase the book tonight, you see amazing photographic work in the books. And this work is done by a poetic photographer named Benjamin Osazura. And this is the only and the first video that we have for tonight. So just sit back, it's a short video, and enjoy. Thank you.
Benjamin Osazua. I'm a photographer based in Abuja, Nigeria, and I collaborated with Eric on this project, Dunes of the Sahara. See, this work was born from a simple question. Are we really seeing the full picture of Africa? Much of what we encounter online shows Africa and African children only through hardship and pain. While these realities do indeed exist, they are not the only or whole story. From lived experiences, we all know that even in difficult conditions, people find joy, they find dignity and meaning. This project sets out to show the balance, not the denial of hardship, no, but presence within it. During the journey, we met a young boy alone in the desert, herding cattle. When asked what he feared the most, his answer was not the desert, not the animals around him. It was human beings. Yeah. And that moment revealed both the challenges of his environment and his deep comfort within it. For me, photography shapes the way people are seen. It shapes memory, it shapes perspective, and this work invites you to look again. Slowly, honestly, without assumptions, because perspective does matter. This piece has been done with heart, and I hope you enjoy it. Thank you.
A round of applause for him, even if he's not here. Our next performer or performance tonight is a collaborative piece, and it's a reading of a poem titled Dancing Through by Eric Gabriel and Shane Lambert. Shane Lambert is a trumpet player based in Regina, Saskatchewan, whose musical journey began with the Regina Lions Band. His first professional experience came with Step 2, a funk, soul, and R&B band or group, where he honed his craft under the mentorship of George Taylor and Christopher Craig. Ladies and gentlemen, Shane Lambert and Eric Gabriel.
Evening. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Are y'all sleeping? Good evening, everyone. Awesome, awesome, awesome. How we doing so far? Good? Awesome, thank you. This next piece is a poem from the book, and I hope as he's saying his spirit connects. I am joined today by the amazing Shani Lambert. Round of applause, please. So, for this performance, I'm gonna need your help, and I'm gonna say a chant, and you're gonna say a chant back to me. And the chant is simple. It's Ise. Can we go? Damn, it's a choir. Okay. All right. Just one more time, just for practice. So when I do like this, we go Ise. Ready? Ise. All right, you're ready. Uselo lao. Uselo lao. Ejike si mesuto. Uselo lao. Lao. The Dogon tree dances in the wind, calling on all fowls of the air to come nest on its branches, to come make the hollows of its trunk their home. Whilst the bitter wind of the Hamatan does the Gangakura, the Dogon tree in rebellion dances the Sharo, attracting feathers of diverse colors. Sworn enemies in the sky become neighbors on this dancing tree. Cackling and chirping of feathers lost and storms forgotten. As birds not of the same feather gather together, seeking warmth from the anger of the harmattan, this dancing tree says nothing of the children of dust below. Creatures braced with stones, arrows, and machetes, girded with spears, axes, and cutlasses, madly possessed with the knowledge of fire, the taste of blood forever on their tongues. And so, as the anger of the harmattan settles, giving rise to the comfort of the sun, the carcasses of birds and blood-stained feathers are all that decorate the plains, whilst the sound of the wind whistling through hollowed bones is heard throughout these sandy hills. A sooty stump is seen protruding from the earth. Indeed, the charred feet of once upon a dancing tree. To all children of earth, our mother, nature, is dying. And we, yes, we are the killer virus. Oh man, I was about to steal the MC's job. Okay.
Well, I always have something to say. I didn't want to share this. He was trying to throw shades on me, so I just have to say this. So while preparing all this, we had a meeting. I had a meeting with Eric. I don't know if you all have noticed that when Eric speaks, he does the old dramatical stuff. Yeah. So we're in a coffee shop. It's just a quiet coffee shop. Good citizens of Regina. And I walked in. I said, "Hey, what's up? What's up? How are you doing?" I'm good. So this point is gonna be. We're gonna. And I'm like, all right, all right. Yeah, we got sent out of the coffee shop. Um, our next performer for tonight is Hurley Sinclair. He's a contemporary indigenous artist from the PP Kisses Cree Nation in Treaty 4 territory. Hope I got that right. Yep, thank you. who was born in Lithburg, Bridge, Albert, 1988, raised in southern Saskatchewan. The vast prairies and shifting skies of the land deeply influenced his artistic vision. Sinclair's work is an exploration of memory, resilience, and identity, rooted in both personal history, cultural experiences. His textural impasto heavy paintings invite viewers to experience art through deep and movement. Good. Working primarily in acrylic, Sinclair explores palette knives and modeling paste to create sculptural works that go beyond traditional flatness. Each piece offering a tactile, almost topographically presence. Ladies and gentlemen, Holly Sinclair. So,
So, I'm not as well-read and eloquent as all of those who have come before me. In fact, I just finished writing this up 2, maybe 3 a.m. last night. So, pardon if there's some inconsistencies. I was quite sleepy, but thank you. Good evening, everyone. First, I want to thank you all for being here today, and I want to thank Eric for trusting me to respond visually to such a powerful piece of writing. It is always a vulnerable thing to let another artist step into your work, and I didn't take that lightly. When I first read Eric's poem, Valley of Clenched Fists, it was immediate. You know those rare moments where something lands in your body before it even fully registers in your mind? That was this one for me. My imagination started moving right away, not toward literal imagery, but towards a feeling, some weight, and tension. I approached this piece very consciously as a supporting voice. The poem leads. The poem sets the emotional temperature, and my role was not to explain it or illustrate it directly, but to sit beside it and build a visual atmosphere that could hold the same gravity. And I'll say this as honestly as I can. When I began this particular painting, I found myself at conceptual standstill. I'd started the work with intention, but I couldn't fully resolve what it needed to become. It felt unfinished in a deeper sense, like something essential was missing. Then I encountered Eric's poem. Reading it felt less like discovery and more like recognition. It clarified something I hadn't yet found language for and shifted the entire emotional direction of this piece. In a way, that still feels a little mysterious to me. The work began to open itself back up. It reminded me that some of the most meaningful moments in art happen when we allow ourselves to be shaped by each other's voices. There's a phrase we hear often about collaboration, that beautiful things happen when creatives work together. I think this piece is one of those moments, not because it resolves anything, but because it holds space for complexity, grief, and hope all at once. One of the first decisions I made was material. I began by laying down a heavy foundation of modeling paste, applied thick and unevenly, knowing full well that as it dried, it would begin to crack. I welcomed that loss of control. Those fractures became essential. For me, they speak to the instability of systems built on force, the erosion beneath power, and also the valleys created in the wake of violence. They physically shape the surface in a way that mirrors the emotional terrain of the poem. The poem itself read to me like it was Last Stand. There is a sense of inevitability to it, but also resolve. I didn't want to make a literal painting of a very specific and devastating moment in recent Nigerian history. Instead, I wanted to follow the emotional current of the writing. I connected to it not through proximity to the tragedy, but through the feeling of standing in front of something overwhelming and choosing, anyways, to remain grounded in hope. That is where the title came from, Standing on Hope. Those protesters stood there armed with very little except conviction, belief, and the collective hope of their people. That kind of hope is not soft. It is not naive. It is stubborn and deliberate. Sometimes it is the only ground available for us to stand on. You'll notice in this piece the Nigerian flag is present, but not dominant. I painted it in a ghosted way, intentionally softened so it wouldn't become the singular focal point. I wanted it to feel embedded in the space rather than imposed upon it. The faintness allows it to exist almost like a memory or breath. Even a suggestion of it carries enormous weight. The flagpole, however, is solid. It is painted in a continuous yellow that runs from the very bottom of the canvas upwards towards where we can't see. For me, that vertical line suggests continuation beyond the frame and quietly references the gesture of a flag flown at half-mast in mourning. It creates a spine in the composition, something steady amid fracture. You'll also notice that the yellow circles moving throughout the painting. These came directly from one of the most striking images in Eric's poem, the line about the sunflower finally basking in the lunar glow. I wasn't interested in painting literal flowers. Instead, I wanted to carry the spirit of that image across the surface. The circles function almost like quiet exchanges moving through the space. They suggest warmth, memory, spirit, and continuity. They appear and reappear in different areas of the painting, not as decoration, but as small moments of light passing through a very heavy atmosphere. In the lower half of the painting, you'll find 12 black abstracted forms. They're intentionally non-representational. I do not want to impose specific faces or bodies onto them, because the moment they become literal, they risk becoming contained. Abstraction allows them to exist both as individuals and as a collective presence. They hold space rather than describe it. There are 12 of them for a reason. They mark the lives lost at Lekki. But more than marking, I hope they invite pause. Not recognition in a literal sense, but recognition in a human one. I also want to acknowledge that as someone outside of this history, my responsibility here was care. This work is not an attempt to speak for anyone. It's an attempt to stand alongside a poem and alongside a memory with humility. And honestly, collaboration like this is one of my favorite parts of being an artist. It keeps you listening. It keeps you honest. And occasionally it reminds you that silence and texture can sometimes say more than precision ever could. So, my hope for this piece is simple. I hope it asks you to slow down. I hope it asks you to feel before you interpret. And I hope that somewhere in the fractures, the quiet spaces, and the weight of the surface, you can sense the same stubborn hope that carried so many people to stand where they stood.
Let's remember that the silent auction closes by 7 p.m. So feel free to go up to the back and put those bids in. Right about now is refreshment time. So we'll have a few minutes to refresh, move around with possible network, stretch our legs, and the volunteers are already lining up at the back. So just stand up and just take a walk. When you step outside, to your right, the refreshments are packed on the right. So, and an announcement will be made as to what time we'll be coming back in. Thank you very much. 따라준 나마이 완내 과거 맘 완내 보고 내와 지바이 인
Isn't it such a blessing to witness and observe the pure, unadulterated innocence of kids? Such twinkle little stars. How do they even shine so brightly in such a dark, dark world?
가다 보는
I want to like hey. Wala as iwa to za amame.
Suda amana. Me suda amana.
Akasina at wala mana biye poko. Then let ka dai vai ki zal yataya. Tarigeki. I say wala wa ka making no to kunum jia. Kunum. To di lami. Kau. Au. Man tu anala. Ahirala.
걸
di mau di pi mana zamalanta panil pun ko tapi ya ini si ta tu awatala na dari yaro ang bayara otel rani wana kalaman tine ama engka era lelaki nande ka kisari mene ella kisuru pat aku lagi baru aja diomulta tane kalau nak kita punang dia nalega
I didn't have the COVID experience that most human beings had because 2019, 2020, I was in the deserts of my country. And I remember coming down into the city and I'm seeing everyone maxed up. And I'm like, yo, what's going on? Why you're wearing masks? And like, oh, COVID. COVID. What's COVID? And then I see, oh, COVID. Okay, bye. And I go back into the desert, you know? So I wrote this piece during that period and I treated it like a writer's residency of some sort. But also because writing down poems it's a way I process my thoughts. Um, aside from watching cool anime, but you know, just being amongst those beautiful people up north. And it was interesting for me because in my country, I come from the southern part, and as Nigerians here would know, people from the north have a very negative stereotype. And so going there to see for myself, I was like, oh wow, you folks are not like what they say down south. You know, I wasn't of their religion, but they accepted me anyway. You know, the it's interesting because the kids just, I don't know, I think kids just love me wherever I go. And so the kids actually were the ones who taught me their language because they would come to like the little place I found to sleep in, and then they would be trying to like say things to me, and you know, I wouldn't understand, but I would try and read gesticulations, you know, and be like, oh, okay, you want me to come? Okay, you know, or this is food, you know what I mean? And so it was quite interesting for me. And so I wrote all of these experiences down into that book. Actually, more than that book, but I had to cut the poems to fit into 20 to make a chapbook. So it has been a very interesting experience for me. But the the publishing of it, I had knocked on several publishing houses' doors, and they're like, "Oh, who are you?" I'm like, "Oh, okay." So I'm like, I had to look in the mirror. I'm like, "Who are you, Eric?" Okay, I'm gonna do it myself, you know. And so I self-published it. However, though, I did not miss the process that a traditional publishing house would go through. And so this book actually went through 4 different editors and proofreaders. And so I work with one. They were like, "This is the final work." I'm like, "Good." And I take it and I go to the second one. And so it went through 4 rounds before it made it this far. And a wonderful human being I met here, who some of you might know, named Landon Walliser, helped me with the design and connected me with the sites that I go. So community, you know what I mean? It's the book is a testament of what community can achieve if we come together.
That's beautiful. Yeah, round of applause.
Okay.
I can attest that kids love this guy everywhere he goes. We've had the opportunity to do some workshops with some youth, and they just hang off of Eric for good reason, like we all are right today. So in your book, gratitude is deeply evident in the way that you offer your poems to the reader. You gift us the poems themselves, but then there's almost like mini poems that are gifted after the piece, via dedications. And so for each of these dedications that follow your poems, they feel like prayers that you're offering. They add a deeper context to each of your pieces. And you'll know what I mean when you pick up the book itself. You see the poem, and then you'll see a dedication following the poem. So what inspired each poem's dedication, and why was it important to you to have them in your book?
It was important for me because I wanted to find a way to preserve their memory in time. It's preserved here. You know, these were people who touched my lives. You know what I mean? For example, the piece I did with Ying that had the kids song, that's a real event, right? That I recorded. And I remember that period of my life was quite turbulent, and you know, they made me feel alive again, you know. And so I had to like, you know, the world must remember these people, you know what I mean? And so, and also to, so you don't pick up the book and be like, oh, it's just fiction. No, every poem was inspired by someone or an event or a place or a memory, and I dedicate the people or memories or places that inspired the poems.
That's so special because not often do we get to hear the context within the pages of a book as to what inspired a piece. And so that just invites this deeper connection and deeper humanity in your book for us to follow it. I know that when I was reading your poems, that when I read that dedication, I understood on a deeper level what you were trying to say. And then I was invited into that world even more. And it was just such a gift to keep discovering more. I was like, of course, Eric's so grateful. He's just oozes gratitude, which is his power in building community, as we can attest to tonight.
Yeah, the volunteers told me today that I have to stop saying thank you, but I can't, like thank you,
Yeah. It's interesting. So you use in your collection, you reference poems as almost a form of currency several times. I'll give a couple of examples. Sorry, in your poem Eden, when you're talking about flowers, you say, "Admiring each one as I watered them with poems." And then in another poem, Messengers of Caesar, you mention, "For nothing of Caesar's do I own, only jokes and poems to feed a wanting soul." So be both examples, yeah, you're using poetry to pay or to give something or to get something in a certain way. And so can you speak more to what you think the power of poetry can offer the world? Just a tiny question, but the power of
Not a
poetry.
tiny question. But yeah, the power of poetry to the world is immense. Poetry is life. That's how I see it. Dance is movement poetry. Painting is visual poetry. You know, everything is poetry. Even like governing people is people poetry. You know what I mean? Like I see poetry in everything, and for me, you're right. I do see my art as a means of currency, and not current. I wouldn't have put the word currency, but yeah, you're right, because poetry is for the soul. It doesn't fill your pocket. Well, I hope it fills mine one day, but it doesn't fill your pocket. It fills your heart, fills your soul. And this reminds me of there is a poem in there actually called The Messengers of Caesar, right? Where a group of Amajiri kids, and these are kids who are orphaned, and they just roam the streets in droves begging for food. And that day they stumbled upon me, and I had no food, I had no money, but I had songs, I had dance moves. And I'm like, yo, if I can't feed your belly, but let me give you a memory that you would take to whenever the creator calls you home. A memory that would convince you at some point in life that yes, there are still good people in the world, you know? And so, yes, I guess poetry is a form of currency for me.
I love that. I I I will also manifest richness for you in because of your poetry. So you reference late Nigerian poet Christopher Okigbo in his poem "The Passage" in your piece, "The Offspring of the Gloomy Fire." Just such a great title. Um, as well as the tragic assault and murder of peaceful protesters on October 20th, 2020. We saw that beautiful art piece that Harley did in recognition of this poem that I'm referencing, Valley of the Clenched Fists. So why is it important to you to use your poetry as an act of remembering?
As a Nigerian, because my country is quick to forget. As a human being, because that's the only way I know how. I'm not as skilled as Harley to make a painting that will last forever. You know, um, I'm not as blessed as some people who have the grace for public leadership. You know what I mean? But the only way I know how to is through poems. And Christopher Kiba was the shining light of his generation in terms of literal work in our country. But he had to go and fight in the Biafra War, and he died saving somebody's life. You know, and that for me is profound. He did not care that, oh, I'm the famous Christopher Akiba, I'm not gonna die for you. He took a bullet for somebody, you know, and that's the height of love for the human race. So I chose to remember him in my book.
That's beautiful. This leads me to um, a question that I had about what your hopes for your book are. And so for context, you mention in your bio at the end of the collection that you'll all read this, right? Okay. You mentioned that you hope that this book will be an addition to the canon of creative works which seek to unite all peoples through an understanding of the commonality of being human. Can you speak more to that?
Man, hearing you say that sounds like a mouthful. I can't believe I wrote that. But okay. Um, but yes, hopefully, my not my primary hope, but hope I have, you all buy the book, firstly. But also, yes, I do want this book to prove to the reader, whoever you are, whatever you are, whatever race, gender, culture, creed, that the experiences that people are having in the book, you can relate to it because you're a human being. And that for me is one of my goals that I'm trying to achieve through my artwork, because the world is getting really polarized. I don't know if anyone notices, but it's getting really polarized, and we have to remember we are all human beings. You know, we have the same dreams, the same fears. For example, you all want to be rich, right? You don't want to be rich? Wow, cool. But you know, we have the same dreams, hopes, and fears, and so it's. I'm trying to use the book and the poems in the book to remind us that we are all one. We are all human.
That's so beautiful. And I think as we near the end of our on-stage conversation before we open up to audience questions, I hope you've been thinking about some questions that you'd like to ask. I did talk to a few folks about being plants in the audience, but I mean, we're open to anybody else. So in your poem Stardust, you are deeply encouraging to fellow artists about following their dreams. And I think to end this portion of our conversation, what could you say to any other poet or artist right now who may be doubting their work or direction or place in this troubling world?
I don't think I have the right or authority to say anything to them. However, I will offer my honest opinion and my honest 2 cents, which is there's only one you in the world. There is no other you, and there never will be another you after you leave. And that in itself is it's a blessing. People want to hear what you have to say through whatever artistic means you have. And it's not even about art. It's like human beings in general. You know, like, don't feel, oh, no one's going to want to hear what I have to say. No, no one has experienced this world or seen this world through your eyes before, ever. Do you know how crazy that is? Since the history of humanity, no one has ever seen the world through your eyes. So please, don't listen to people who say don't follow your dreams, you know? Like, go for it. Go for it. Exactly, right? Yeah. Go for it.
That's beautiful. I love that one of my favorite things about writing is the fact that once you put it down in your own way with your own flavor, it's never existed in this way before. And that's such a miracle, truly, to create something in this world. It's the highest honor. So thank you, Eric, for this beautiful conversation. I'll be thinking a lot about your book and about your philosophies and about how to move through this world grounded in community and connection. And I'd love to open this up for a few audience questions. I think we might have a microphone. Yes, our good friend here will ensure that everybody can hear your question. Thank you for turning the house lights on.
Thank you. Yes, so I can see who's asking.
Yes. So we have opportunity for 3 questions. So number 1, number 2, and who is gonna be number 3? I'm gonna pick up someone. Okay, number 3. Number 3. Yeah. Okay. And number 1. Oh, okay.
How can you stay so positive during such like tough times through your writing and everything?
That's a good question. Hope and I believe in the capability of the human race to be good. And I believe so because of kids. No one comes into this world thinking evil. We get primed after a while. And so if we as a collective consciousness decide to prime otherwise, the world can be a better place. You know what I mean? So that hope keeps me going, bro. Now you might call me stupid for hoping, but I hope.
In parts of West Africa, there are people known as griots, who are the musicians and also the historians and to a certain extent, the moral guardians. And they are moral guardians because if a chief was not behaving properly, nobody could speak to him, but the griot would tell the stories of the good chiefs and admonish him in that way, not by saying he was bad, but trying to point him to other people. You seem to have the spirit of a griot. Is it part of your family lineage as well?
So you know my secret, huh? um, I would like to think so. My mom, I'm from a royal bloodline from my mom's side, and I'm from a palace guard bloodline from my dad's side. And so the royal bloodline were known for in my mom's culture, were known for doing all of this that I do. You know, I don't know so much about my dad's bloodline, but I know my mom's bloodline had that. And so it is very possible that, I'm just letting the ancestors pass through me. So yeah, you're very right.
Great. And time for one more question.
Where do we get your book?
Thank you for asking. That's the question everyone has been asking me today. I promise you, it's not buried on the ground. It's actually here. And after, I think that's gonna be the closing section for the entire evening. There's gonna be the ushers will walk you to where you can get the book. It's right here. So and it's quite affordable. So yeah, I got you.
How can we pay for your book?
Cash, e-transfer,
I
poetry.
Well, okay. I like the challenge. Yes. If you can give me a poem that can sweep me off my feet, I'll give you a book. Yes. But there's a tap machine there, like a square, and also cash. Yes, for sure.
Thank you so much for your questions. Thank you, Eric, for this delightful conversation.
Thank you.
Please give it up again to Eric.
You see,
Thank you. Thank you.
Hello.
thank you all for staying this long. The author of the book just want to give a vote of thanks quickly.
Okay. Wow. Where do I begin? I would like Jesus Christ. I would like to say a big thank you to firstly the creator, because the gift of breath is the most wonderful gift to have. Dead folks don't write poems, dead folks don't sing songs. Where there's life, there's the possibility of the world being better exists. So I'd like to thank the creator first. I would like to thank all of you for being here, for coming out in winter time to support me, not just any winter, Saskatchewan's winter. Thank you so much. I don't take that lightly. I don't take that for granted. I would like to thank the beautiful people who shared the stage with me today. Could you just give a round of applause for them, please? They were just amazing. Thank you. I would like to thank the Lieutenant Governor, Her Honor, and His Honor for being here. I know your schedule is very busy and you took the time to be here. Thank you so much. Thank you. And she's gone now. But for all the dignitaries who made it here through the busy schedule, thank you. I would like to thank our sponsors, Sask Arts, Sask Culture, Sask Lottery, Saskatchewan Arts Alliance. Without them, this wouldn't have been. I would like to thank, if she's here, Barbara. If you like my outfit, I was styled by Barbara. Thank you so much. Funny thing, I was backstage and I looked at the mirror. I'm like, oh, Eric, you handsome devil. And I was like, no, relax, bro. This is Barbara's work. Don't be deceived. This is Barbara's work. So thank you for making a not-so-looking guy look attractive. Thank you to Walter. The amazing sounds you heard, that was by Walter Jaworski. Thank you so much. Thank you to Angela Bailey for the amazing designs. Thank you to our partners on Q Performance Hub, Saskatchewan Writers Guild, New Dance Horizon, Saskatchewan African Canadian Heritage Museum. Thank you so much to the Multicultural Council of Saskatchewan. I think Rhonda Rosenberg was here. Thank you. Okay, thank you so much. Who am I missing? Thank you to the volunteers, man. You know, I was running crazy this morning, like, Eric, just relax, relax. I'm like, how can I relax? You know, and thank you so much. You made this really, really easy. Thank you to the MC, Michael, man. Great job. Round of applause for the MC, please. Thank you. To the folks backstage, thank you so much for, you know, making, you see, in any event, you gotta say thanks to the tech guys so they don't mess your event up. So thank you so much. Thank you to Colton of the Mackenzie for giving me this space. You know, and to everyone, to my family that's watching via Instagram back home, thank you. I know it's like 2:30 in the morning in Nigeria. Thank you for staying awake. And I hope you see why I, you know, was so stubborn all these years. Thank you so much. So yes, I would leave you with a poem by one of my favorite poets of all time by the name Khalil Gibran. And it says, love one another, but make not a bond of love. Let it rather be a moving sea between the shores of your souls. So I'll leave you with 3 words. As you go forth from here, please let love lead. God bless you. God keep you. I see you at the signing table.
Thank you everybody for staying this far. And just to wrap it up, like you said, we're just heading out to the corner by the left for the book signing. Drive safe, stay safe, and God bless you. Thank you.